What's up, my ninjas? I'm here to share this Did You Know video with all of you today. In this video, I will be talking about Unholdables in Dead or Alive 5 Last Round. Did you know that you can strike an opponent at a specific frame without worrying about being held or sidestep? Unholdables is something the majority of the community still doesn't know about or hasn't fully explored, but today, that information will be shared with everyone. Make sure to pay close attention to fully understand how this works. If you feel a little lost during this Did You Know episode, make sure to watch the previous video so you get all caught up. With that said, let's get into it. First thing to understand before even thinking of doing an unholdable strike is to learn how to read a single striking move accurately with the frame data. In a previous Did You Know video, I explained how frame data can be read. However, I did not mention the neutral frame. A neutral frame is something all characters have to go through when doing any sort of strike or move and is not registered in the frame data. For the most part, this neutral frame can be ignored, but when it comes to unholdables, it has to be included in every situation. So what's a neutral frame? Well, a neutral frame in DOA5 Last Round is one frame that takes your character out of the neutral standing state. Simply think of it as an additional frame that you have to add to your data. However, when setting up an unholdable situation, the neutral frame has to be accounted for in order to get consistent results. An important thing to know is that there is only one neutral frame and it is always attached at the beginning of every move, including going into a special stance. After your one neutral frame, then it's the initial frames followed by the active frames and then recovery. Something else you should know is that a neutral frame is completely removed when in a special stance, like Hayabusa's Ninpo stance, Helena's, Riggs, and any other character with special stances. This is because the character's special stance animation has already gone through the neutral frame, and as long as they're in that stance, they do not have to add the neutral frame anymore. Now that you know how to keep track of the neutral frame, let me quickly explain how an unholdable works. An unholdable is a situation where your opponent cannot hold a strike. An added perk to the situation is that you cannot sidestep it either, so it also becomes unsidesteppable regardless if it's a linear or tracking move. However, most people would just call it an unholdable because they understand that if you can't hold it, you can't sidestep it. In order to land one of these strikes, there is one important rule, and that is that your opponent must tech roll in order to prevent them from being able to hold. If you force your opponent off the ground, this technique is not allowed. However, given the fact that you force your opponent up, you will most likely have just as many options to keep the pressure going. Just make sure to remember that if you force them off the ground, unholdables are deactivated. I hope I haven't lost you yet, my ninjas, because it's about to get more complicated. In the previous Did You Know video, I mentioned that hidden frame data was the key to unholdable setups. Without this data, it will be challenging to land any kind of unholdable. With that said, please look for your character's hidden frame data after any throw, hold, or combo. An easy example of this to share with everyone today is Hayabusa's forward throw animation. After the forward throw and after your opponent tech rolls, the data isn't shown. But by having both characters hold right after recovering, the hidden frame data then appears. This hidden frame data will tell you what move in your character's arsenal is unholdable against your opponent. Keep in mind that no situation is the same and that most characters have different setups. In this situation, the data shows that Hayabusa is positive 19 frames. This number also indicates how long your opponent is invulnerable to all strikes. So don't waste your time trying to strike during these frames. Simply focus on the 19 frames of recovery. Because the opponent has to recover 19 frames after Hayabusa's throw, that means the frame right after, which is the 20th frame, is the unholdable frame. That 20th frame prevents your opponent from executing the hold or sidestep animation because of the tech roll and the neutral frame that was mentioned earlier. After tech rolling, your opponent needs the neutral frame to pass before activating a hold or sidestep, which means that the 20th frame is where your strike needs to land its first active frame. Landing a strike on a later active frame is almost impossible and unreliable. So when looking for these unholdable setups, please make sure you are as close as possible to your opponent and that your strike lands on that first active frame. So in this case, Hayabusa's down forward punch, also known as 3-3-P, lands on that sweet spot, which is the 20th frame for this particular setup. This move has to go through one neutral frame plus 18 additional animation frames, and then the first active frame lands on the 20th frame. Following this formula will help you find many more situations just like this, and remember that every character and scenario is different. It's pretty simple once you understand the rules that need to be followed. Before wrapping up this video though, I want to show you another example, this time with Ian. His combo into an unholdable will be done by the wall, since the wall usually gives you more than enough frames to do almost any strike in your arsenal. First, you need the hidden frame data. So simply knock your opponent into the wall with Iron and follow up with a down back kick, forward punch kick combo string and hold twice, since in this scenario you'll have plenty of advantage. In this case, because Iron had to hold twice in order to see the hidden frame data, you have to take the final 29 frames and add 31 additional ones for the first hold. This normally would mean that the 61st frame would be the unholdable frame. However, any additional holds that are done after the recovery of the first hold are usually missing the neutral frame of the second hold. So in this case, the total advantage would be 31 from the first hold plus 30 from the second hold, meaning you would be plus 61 frames, making the 62nd frame unholdable. And since Ian's power blow is 60 frames plus 1 neutral frame and the first active frame landing on the 62nd frame, then the power blow is now unholdable. On top of that, if your opponent blocks the power blow, the guard break will grant one quick strike afterwards, which makes it useful for either a hit or block situation. The final piece of information I want to mention is that not all moves are 60 frames like the power blow, and sometimes you need less frames to align a better strike. Normally you would try to keep all your advantage, but since you have the potential to land an unholdable strike, it's a good idea to cut down the frames so you can land the move of your choice. So in this case, I could do a whiff down throw with Ian, followed up by up back punch to make his other guard break unholdable. And that's just one scenario. There's several other things I can do to cut down the frame advantage and do some other pretty crazy stuff. Well, my ninjas, I'm going to end it here, and I'm glad you all made it this far. This video will be analyzed by several players because of all the information that it unlocks. Congrats on getting this far, and we hope to see your continued support in future Did You Know videos. If you like this video, make sure to like and share the content. Don't forget to follow us here and trigger the notifications so you don't miss the next one. Let us know what hidden treasure you find with this unholdable information. Remember, there is hundreds if not thousands of scenarios with this technique that has yet to be uncovered. So please tag us on any unholdable setups you come across with hashtag DOA5LR and hashtag unholdable. Make sure to test this thoroughly so that your results are accurate. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you ninjas in the next Did You Know video.